I have Bvlgari's Ambero. Um, this one, it's an amber fragrance, as expected from the name. I feel like with these Bvlgari exclusive fragrances, they're mostly, from what I've smelled, a lot of them are like amber based, slight Middle Eastern with a synthetic note, like what designers use. I do not think these are worth the money. I feel like if you're into ambers and you're transitioning from like designer to niche, maybe, but even then, I feel like there's better out there than these. So I was surprised this runs for $460, 100 ml. It was 400 not long ago, and I thought that was ridiculous, but these designer exclusive brands and niche brands just keep going up in price. I remember a few years ago, 200 was kind of the standard, which was already ridiculous for whatever size bottle, 50, 100, and maybe 50 mLs, 100 mLs, maybe 270, 300 max. But now I feel like these brands are pushing $500 for 100 ml to be the standard, and it makes me wonder who's paying this. Like maybe people that pay retail pay it no matter what, but I seriously doubt it. I think they're losing a lot of customers. I would imagine it's ridiculous. There's nothing in this fragrance that smells expensive at all. Everything to me smells, all the ingredients to me smell like they wouldn't cost that much money. I don't pick anything out, any note that I feel like would be expensive to buy from like Perfume's Apprentice or anything. But yeah, the notes listed are olibanum, ginger, saffron, and pink pepper. I do get a little bit of pink pepper, olibanum, um, maybe ginger. It's not super prominent. And yeah, I guess you get that saffron. It's kind of has a similar um, saffron note that would be in a lot of oud, saffron, rose scents. But it it seems like a strong fragrance. People say it has poor performance. I think I think people probably go nose blind because the synthetic ingredient in there that's blasting, you just get used to it. But for me, the longevity of it after a few hours, I couldn't really smell it. Maybe a skin scent. Um, After about an hour, I get a like cola note. It's almost like a Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper that's been sitting out in the sun, like no carbonation, and like an old cup of soda that's been sitting there a while. It's not the most pleasant cola note. I don't like cola notes to begin with. But yeah, this one's not the most pleasant Coca-Cola note to me. Um yeah, it's basically just a amber, slight Middle Eastern smell with those four notes, like just blended with a huge synthetic ingredient. It's nose piercing, but it's not horrible like a lot of fragrances I smell. Nothing natural really about it, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure the ginger somewhat natural. I mean, I guess you could have somewhat expensive ginger, but it wouldn't cost that much to put it in here. Like CO2 extracted. I mean, it's not the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive. Another thing I noticed with these Bulgari designer exclusives is they all smell somewhat similar. Like it's hard to differentiate between each one of them. I haven't smelled them all, but I've smelled a few. I mean, Tiger kind of stands out, but even that's not worth the money. I feel like you can find better for cheaper, even though Tiger is pretty good. But yeah, it's just an amber synthetic molecule. There is a big pepperness coming out on paper at least. I wore this on skin a few times, once yesterday. It's just not worth the money. There's way better ambers out there. I mean, you got Musk Ravager. There's one from Stories de Perfume. La Artisan Amber Extreme. Perfume de Empire has one called Ambero that's pretty good. There's a bunch. I could go on and on of better ambers, especially in this price range, even cheaper. I mean, in my opinion, if you're gonna have this like designer synthetic in here, there's better designers than this. Dolce and Gabbana, the one EDP, I feel like is a much better fragrance for this for a way better price. I mean, it's just I think they're trying to go for brand recognition and the bottles. The bottles look nice and they're trying to just get people in that way. They're trying to be they're just trying to capitalize on the everybody liking ambers and like, ooh, I could get all those, collect those different ambers, but you don't you don't need a bunch of fragrances that smell like this, a synthetic ingredient with amber and some notes. I feel like they need to diversify more. I just feel like it ain't worth it. I mean, maybe if they were trying to charge, I don't know, one less than 200 for this, keep it in the same bottle. I could maybe if a diptyque EDT price or something. I could see some price like that. The price just doesn't warrant it. There's way better if you're gonna spend this money. Um, as with most of these Bulgaris, I was kind of let down. I got this sample from Fragrance Lord. I think it's a new website. I was surprised, pretty cheap. I think it was like $6 or $7 for a 2 ml. I don't know if it's a legit site. I mean, it smells legit from what I've smelled, the fragrance samples I've smelled. But a lot of these new sample sites, when they first come out, they're way cheaper for samples. I remember micro perfumes had like dollar samples. Now they're like $10 or something. But yeah, so far I haven't really smelled a Bulgari exclusive that's worth it. This is um, synthetic, big, like musky amber ingredient with a few notes blended in there, with amber being predominant, and it's just like thrown together. I mean, maybe it's blended good, but it's just all like muddy, like the notes with that synthetic ingredient. It's not worth it. I don't really have much else to say about these. These Bulgari exclusives are kind of hard to describe because they're so drowned in synthetics, I feel like. That's it.